All right, you guys. This is your girl, Lady Rachel of Singles with a Testimony. There I am. Yep. There I am. Here I am. And as I always, want to thank you guys for joining me on this beautiful Saturday afternoon, where we always serve up the tea at the BPG Tea House, the holiest tea house in Houston, Texas. And as always, want to thank you guys for rocking and rolling with us, for just spending time with us, for allowing us into your homes on Saturday when you can be doing so many other things. Well, if you've been on Facebook and kind of looking at the posts that I've been making and hearing a lot, a lot of things that are going on in relationships, when you're in business with people, families, friends, all of that. One of the major things that we tend to have an issue with each other is communication. For whatever reason, someone says or doesn't say. And so then, of course, there's a misunderstanding because either someone didn't communicate properly, or they read the nonverbal communication like body language, their face, and things of that nature. And they took it one way instead of communicating properly in a healthy manner, as adults should do, and just simply asking, what did you mean? When you said this, when you did that, what exactly did you mean? Instead of assuming. And we know what happens when we assume. We end up damaging relationships that could have been salvaged, because sometimes they can be damaged to the point to where, the person is saying, that's it. I don't even want to try to talk about it. I've talked about it enough and I've expressed myself enough times to where by now you should understand where I'm coming from. You should know how I feel. You should know how that makes me feel. And then, of course, what happens, like that old saying goes, that's the straw that broke the camel's back. And so from there, that's it. Now, a lot of the times there may be no love lost. And then sometimes, unfortunately, there is, which again is unfortunate, because we know as people of God, we're called to always forgive, have a heart to forgive. Now, know this, getting a little bit away from it just a little bit, even though, yes, we are to forgive, we are to grace. There are times that even in that forgiveness and that gracing, there's still love for the person or the people and things of that nature. However, though, that's just what it is. You may not talk as much or at all, though it doesn't mean that you don't have love for them. But, when the lines of communication have become blurred, when the lines of communication can be severed by, again, a misunderstanding, then many times that brings about a lot of unnecessary hurt, a lot of unnecessary pain, offense, and things like that. And it could have been simply salvaged sometimes, not always. And that's what we're going to talk about. So the title of this show today, I'm sorry, I kind of had to go in there, is the importance of communication. Can we talk? Because we all know that communication is key. It is vital to any type of a relationship, be it one with your parents, with your children, definitely with that significant other, your spouse, and even with people who you deem or who are friends, whether they are like friends at church or friends, your co-workers, or people that you do business with. Communication is vital to the life of a relationship, because the Bible says, how can two walk together? At least they agree. And the only way that we will be able to agree is, one, we have to be able to communicate. And now communication, I am finding out, as we all should have and will, it's not just a matter of talking. It's a matter of also listening, and sometimes listening more than you speak, and not listening with an ear that as soon as they're finished, you're ready to come back with a rebuttal, which I have been guilty of. Coming back and ready to, fire out the shoot, with an answer, with a response, not taking the time to listen and hear, not just actually give them an ear and listen, but actually hear what they are saying, and sometimes what they are not saying. And that comes with practice, that comes with intentionality, that I'm going to be intentional about hearing what is on this person's heart. What is on this person's mind, and sometimes you can see it without them saying it. That's the nonverbal communication, where you see it in their face. You watch their body language. If they maybe cross their arms, or maybe they're kind of tapping something, like if they're sitting and maybe they're tapping they're continuously opening and closing their hands, or either they may be shifting from one foot to the next foot, or sometimes they may kind of walk back and forth. You can tell something's going on with them. They're agitated about something, or either some people just simply shut down. They don't say anything. They don't discuss anything. Their face kind of takes on this look. And even though they're saying, oh, nothing is wrong, everything is cool, I'm good, like we do. We say, oh, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. But you're looking and reading the body language that's saying, I'm not fine. I really didn't like this, or either this is something I want to say, but I don't know how to express it. And that's another thing, as we'll get into a few points from this article that I ran across on Better Health. And it's talking about relationships and communication. And now we know this one is talking more about like relationships with your significant other, your spouse, more so than with a family member or a friend. However, we know that communication is just as important with your children, because just because they are children, smaller children, they still need to be heard. So remember, I said, Singles with a Testimony is on the move. We've revamped. And so God is wanting us to talk about the needs of the people, as much as, yes, we'll have guests on here and we'll talk about, hot, spicy topics and things of that nature. But right now, we need to get the people healed. And many times, healing them, we need to hear what it is that they have to say. We need to talk about things that will cause them to look on the inside of themselves and see by what we're talking about, and hear by what we are discussing, to see, is that me? Do I do that? Is that something that I have, noticed and witnessed about my partner or myself? So, in talking about relationships and communication, we're going to talk about a few things. First of all, we're going to, just talk about, or I'm going to share, what is the importance of communication. And so it says good communication is an important part of all relationships and is an essential part of any healthy partnership. All relationships have ups and downs, but a healthy communication style can make it easier to deal with the conflict, because you're going to have disagreements. But if you know how to communicate, if you know how to get your point across without getting in your feelings, without being judgmental, even if you know the whole story, without being ready to attack instead of listening and seeing how you can make this better, even if you were not the one who may have caused the issue or started the conflict, because you guys are friends, sisters, brothers, business partners, significant others and things of that nature. However they are feeling affects you, even if, again, it was them that may have started the conflict. It also says that when you're able to do this and you're able to properly communicate, and that's why I was saying in the beginning that communication is not just about speaking, it's also about listening, hearing the hurt, hearing the disappointment, hearing, what that person is saying to you about how they are feeling, and being able to be allowed to agree to disagree, being able to be allowed to share how they feel without someone judging them and making them feel as if they've done something wrong. Okay. And so it says, we often hear how important communication is, but not what it is and how we can use good communication in our relationships. A lot of people shy away from communication, one, because many times they don't know how. I can share a bit of me, my story in growing up with my birth parents, that the communication was way off. To be honest, it wasn't really any communication. It was more nonverbal. It was pretty physical. So I never really, in the beginning of my early childhood years, I never saw people communicating in a healthy manner. It was a lot of yelling and shouting, saying names to each other and things like that, or either shutting down and punishing the other, meaning that, okay, well, you kind of got on my nerves or ticked me off, so I'm going to shut down and draw away from you, or either I'm going to go out and do this or do that, to kind of get back at you for making me feel a certain way, instead of sitting down and saying, I didn't like that when you said, or what did you mean by that when you said, or why would you say that to me? Or you could have come and asked me if you didn't understand what I was saying, instead of assuming that I was out to get you, or assuming that I was trying to hurt you. And of course, give me the opportunity to apologize, or give me the opportunity to say, hey, let me clear this up, and this is what I meant, and this is what I was trying to express. And there again, because of childhood traumas, or just the way we were brought up, a lot of people don't really have very good communication skills. Let's just really be real with it and really be honest. A lot of us come from that, as they say, that old school. And there are a lot of us that we didn't see that, okay, you say something and I listen and I ponder. And then now I give you the opportunity to say how you feel, and I allow you to express it. Most of the time you saw it was tit for tat. It was a lot of pettiness. It was a lot of offense. It was a lot of judgment. And it was a lot of anger. Now we know that to get angry, it's nothing wrong with having the emotion angry. It's what we allow the anger to do. If we don't control the emotion, if we allow the emotion to affect our thought pattern, better known as stinking thinking, because we'll figure that, well, they said this, so that must mean that they don't want to fool with me anymore, or either when they said this is what I thought, but not. But when you said this is what I thought, how many of us said, okay, this is what I thought, but let me find out what they mean. Did they really mean it that way? No. Most of us will say, oh, okay, well, that's how it is. No problem. I see how it's going to be. Never asking the person, okay, what did you mean? We automatically get in our feelings, get in our head from that stinking thinking, which is a self-sabotaging type of a issue. And so we end up messing up, ruining, or damaging that person, and then that relationship with that person. And again, sometimes it can be salvaged and sometimes it can't. All righty. And so we're going to move on with the next part of it. What is communication? And it says here, by definition, communication is the transfer. So when something is transferred, what does that mean? Something is given and something is received. When you transfer something, you're giving something for something. It's like, when Christ died, he transferred his holiness, for our sin. He took on our sin, and in him taking on our sin, we receive his righteousness. So it's a transfer. So that means when you're communicating, it's not oh, this is what I said, boop, bam, and that's it. No, it's I transfer this, and then you transfer that back, right? And so it says that it's a transfer of information from one place to another. So you're taking it from myself to you, you're giving your information from you to me. In relationships, communication allows you to explain to someone else what you are experiencing and what your needs are. The act of communicating not only helps to meet your needs, but it also helps you to be connected in your relationship. That's why it's so vital and so key in relationships, especially well, any a relationship, and especially a husband and a wife, definitely in a business, even with friends, and definitely with your family members. Because how can someone really help you get to the next level, or how can you help them if no one's communicating and saying, hey, this is what I'm experiencing, this is how I'm feeling? When you said that, and maybe you did, maybe you're just feeling some type of a way, but if you don't communicate the other person, because hey, maybe they don't have good communication skills either, you know and so they take that you shut down, that you stop talking, they take that as, oh, they must be trying to kind of, as the saying goes, kick me to the curb, or either they don't want to have anything to do with me, when simply the person may just need some time to themselves. They may just need to kind of, get off, because they're dealing with something that they want to deal with on their own. And if it's communicated in a healthy way, then of course, sometimes that could put that person at ease. Though there again, sometimes, because again, due to past traumas, childhood traumas that we ourselves have not dealt with, a lot of the times when we hear certain things, we're hearing with those same ears of trauma. We're hearing from ears of rejection. We're hearing from ears of low self-esteem. We're hearing from ears of judgment. We're hearing from ears of unforgiveness. We're hearing from ears of bitterness. And so when we're still hearing from those ears, when someone says a certain thing to us, it triggers that emotion. And so we're thinking that they're rejecting us. We're thinking that they are judging us. We're thinking that they're pushing us away. We're thinking, that they're trying to take advantage of us, because one, we've never dealt with those things. So that's why it's so important to communicate to someone how you are feeling, so that one, you can begin to heal. And once you're able to heal, and the only one who can bring that healing is the Father. Many times we get into relationships, and we haven't learned these skills, because we've again not learned them from our childhood. And so we expect people to read our minds. The only person who can read your mind is the Father. And so when we don't communicate properly, and we expect people to again read our minds or read our body language, which many people can do, and that doesn't happen, then that's where you get this person or persons, when we begin to feel as if the person is disrespecting us, or they're not acknowledging us, or they're not considering us. But did we actually sit down and communicate our needs? Now, many times in relationships, that's a biggie. Not very many people actually, especially in the beginning, which is when it should happen, sit down and say, this is how I feel about X, Y, and Z. And because you've never told that person, or you've never expressed it, or if you did, how did you really express it? Did you actually take time to sit down and say, hey, we need to make time to talk? That's what a healthy relationship, a relationship where you have healthy communication. You don't just, oh, throughout the day, by the way, or it's okay to leave sticky notes and text messages and things like that. But in a relationship of any kind, you must, and this mean, and I mean periodically, on a regular, you have to keep the lines of communication open. You have to create an atmosphere and an environment that lets the person feel comfortable, for one, in expressing themselves. If you're with someone that they don't really talk that much, or when you go to talk to them, they kind of shut down, they're really short with you, and things of that nature, and they make you feel a certain type of a way, which there again, that could be something that's going on with you on the inside. Because again, if you have issues, and we all do, that we have not healed from, we have not started the process of inner healing, no matter what a person does or says to you, you're going to always hear it with ears of rejection, judgment, or things of that nature. And so that's what communication is. It allows us to express to others that we're close to, that we're in business with, that we are connected to. And then, as you notice, it said that when you do that, it helps you to be connected in your relationship. If you're in business with someone, you need to be able to be connected, because the decisions you make will affect the business, will then again, or in turn, affect your business partner or partners. With your children, whatever is affecting you is going to affect them, and vice versa. And they should be able to come and say, Mom, Dad, I'm experiencing this, without judgment, without being attacked, and things of that nature. Even if it's something that's negative that they're expressing, it still is a way in which we can combat that. And we're going to talk about that too, being able to manage and have manage conflict with communication. And so it says, communicating clearly in a relationship, talking to each other, not at each other. That's another thing. We think because I'm sitting here and I'm telling you X, Y, and Z, that I'm talking to you, when really we need to find out, am I talking to them or am I talking at them? And of course, we know that there is a difference in talking to and then talking at, because when you talk to someone, you make it clear that what you are expressing, you're expecting for them to give a response, instead of just talking at them, and you're just saying whatever it is that you have to say without even considering what they think or how they feel about what it is that you're saying. And so it's saying, no matter how well you know and love each other, you cannot read your partner's mind. You cannot read a person's mind. We need to stop expecting people to read our minds. The only person who can do that, hear me well, people out there, the only person who can do that is God. I don't care how your husband say, oh, I know her, I study her. There's still something on the inside of you that I'm quite sure that if you told him, it may surprise him, maybe not, because there are some people who, who they study their partner. They're very observant. So now those type of people pick up on certain things pretty well, because they watch, they observe, and they listen. So see, when it comes time for communication, they will say, oh, I figured that's what that was, because they've learned how to observe, which is a part of communication. Because remember, nonverbal communication is still communication. Okay. And it says that we need to communicate clearly to avoid misunderstandings that may cause hurt, anger, resentment, or confusion. That's why I say it's a very, 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 communication is key. It is key, and it is vital to the survival of any relationship, or to the longevity of that relationship, how well that relationship can grow, and for that relationship to fulfill its purpose. But if that's not taking place, I say this and you take what I said and run with it, and so now all of a sudden you clap back because you thought, well, this is what I meant, and then I shut down because I said, okay, well, if that's how you feel about it, then hey, do what you do. And we know both of those, neither one of those responses are healthy. Now, of course, you can't make people, and I'm, like I say, I'm one, I don't chase people. I don't chase people. If anyone in my life ever wants to leave, they have permission to do so. Um, and it's okay, because sometimes, it could just mean that that season has ended. It doesn't necessarily mean that it was anything wrong or anything bad. It just may mean that season for me in their life and them in my life has ended. And so it says it takes two people to have a relationship, and each person has different communication needs and styles. That's why communication means, let me learn how you communicate and what you mean when you say this. And then in turn, you learn the same thing. And this will help a lot of us in relationships. Of course, you're going to still have disagreements, you're going to have arguments. But if we purpose to understand our partner, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether this is someone you're in business with, we have to understand the way that person communicates. And in doing so, help them to understand how we communicate. And so it says, as far as couples, they need to find a way of communicating that suits their relationship. So that means how you communicate with me may not be the same way that you communicate with your business partner, how you communicate with your homeboy, how you communicate with your kids, how I communicate with my homegirls, my business partner, my kids. How I communicate with you is not going to be the same. I'm not going to use exactly the same styles, because of the fact that what you're expressing to me, the need that you may have or what you may need from me, may be different than what that other person needs from me. And so it says healthy communication styles require practice and hard work. So that means it's something that we must be intentional about. Again, if you want this relationship to grow, just like with anything, for those who are into planting and all of that, you got to get in there with it. You don't just put the seed in there and then walk away from it. You put the seed in there. You mess around with the dirt every now and again. You make sure that you water it. You even talk to it. You care for it. You nurture it. You cultivate it. So to have a healthy communication style or relationship, it takes cultivation. And sometimes somebody's going to be inconvenienced a time or two, because it's going to cause you to have to come from up out of your comfort zone in order to do that. And so before we continue, I'm going to share just a little snippet of of a video that I did, and just want to you guys to listen to what's being said, and I'll say again and repeat again what it is that was said. So let me go ahead. I'm going to share this. So give me a moment so that I can go ahead and get this and allow you guys to hear it. And then, of course, we're going to see what it is.
I feel sad because I like being with you and I like being able to talk to you. When you get in a place, in this like weird place, it just like a wall comes up. And then I feel like I'm on the outside of it.
Okay, so I don't know if you are able to hear all of what she was saying, that it makes her sad. She likes being with you. You can enjoy being with the person, love being with the person, being around them. Though she said that, but when you get in this place, it's like a wall comes up. So many times when we're in any type of a relationship with someone, if we want that relationship to grow and be all that God intends for it to be, when you feel a certain way and you allow a wall to come up, how can that person get past and through that wall? How can that person actually understand and know where you're coming from if you have this wall up, but you expect someone to climb over the wall? And my coach, Coach Lysandra Collins, she says something like this: when we build a wall and we think that we're keeping, I'm paraphrasing, we think that we're keeping people out, Yeah, you are, but you're keeping anything from coming in, because remember, it's a wall, and a wall does one thing: it keeps stuff from coming in as well as anything from going out. So when you put up a wall in communication, you make it hard for the person to try to speak to you, to try to understand you if you have issues with trust. Again, we all have been there a time or two. But when you have trust issues, it's like you have this thing up to where you're expecting for something to happen. Subconsciously, you may not even be aware that you're really expecting for this person to tell you something a certain way, treat you a certain way, because you don't trust people anyway. You have trust issues. So it's like, to you, it's only a matter of time before this comes up. Or because you have trust issues, you make yourself to be the victim, as if everyone is out to get you. People are out to do this and to do you harm. And many times it's you that's doing the harm to yourself because of the stinking thinking. I had to be reminded of that, because of the stinking thinking. That could it be that that's you, that you are doing this to yourself because you don't want people to be in, but yet you want them to be in. And that's, I mean, no one can work with that. They can't. Okay, I want to get to know you, but you want to tell me how. And then it's like you have this expectancy because you don't trust people anyway. And how can you actually be in a healthy relationship with anybody on any type of capacity and any type of level if you do not trust them? It's only a matter of time before there will be an explosion. Because if I'm in a relationship, in business with someone, or friendship, or I have a partner that I'm with, if I really don't trust them, it's only a matter of time before something happens. Simply because subconsciously, we got to remember, we act out of our subconscious, whether we know it or not. If we believe that all along that this person was going to do us greasy, or if this man was going to cheat on us, or what have you, those thoughts are in your mind. You don't tear them down. You don't cause them, as the word says, to become subject, pulling down those strongholds in your mind. Then guess what you're talking about, you're going to see it. It a lot of the times it's going to happen. And what are you going to say? I knew it. Just like everybody else dogged me out, just like everybody else cheated on me, just like everybody else used and abused me, just like I just keep losing this. A lot of the times the losses that we suffer, it is not the people. Whether we want to believe it or not, it is ourselves, because we don't take the time to go in. We don't take the time to allow inner healing to come in, so that when someone is communicating to us, if our ear gate is clear, then we will be able to hear them clearly when they are expressing to us what they're deciding to do, what they want to do, what they're going through. And again, even if they're not, we're able to see with clear eyes of discernment, and we're able to see what it is that they're saying, and even what they are not saying. And so it says that be clear when communicating with your partner or whomever, so that your message can be received and understood. Double check your understanding of what your partner is saying. Ways that, and I'm going to share some ways that you can do so. And it says, set aside time to talk without interruption from other people or distractions like phones, computers, or television. Okay, brother, how you gonna talk to her with the game on? I'm just saying, yeah, you can, but and you can disagree to agree to disagree. But if you're playing the game, watching the game, you're not giving her your full attention. Same thing with the ladies. If you're, handling the kids or trying to cook dinner and things of that nature, however boss you say that you are, you're still not giving that man your full attention. Yes, people say, oh, I'm multitasking. Okay, that's something within itself. Though, how can you do 5 things at one time and all 5 of those things are having your full attention? So You have to set aside time so that you can give that person that time. That's letting them know that I really, that's a part of communication. That's a part of being connected. That's letting them know that I want to hear what you have to say. I want to understand where you're coming from. So I'm making time for you to allow you to communicate with me and transfer what it is so that in turn I can express to you and maybe clear up some of that misunderstanding, when I said what I said or did what I did, right? And so it says, think about what you want to say. A lot of times, and I know I was bad about that. Baby, as soon as you did, I said it. I didn't take the time to get quiet. I didn't take the time to assess the situation. I didn't take the time to do nothing. I just responded or I just reacted. God wants us to learn to respond. And another scripture that Coach Lysandra Collins, when it says, I believe it's be quick to hear and slow to speak, because it does lead you to wrath. Because if you just, what did you say to me? And you just pop off because you heard half of what they said. You didn't even allow them to finish, because it's like they started saying something you didn't like. And as soon as they started saying something you didn't like, that flesh rose up. You start, kicking in, and you didn't even hear the rest of whatever it was. You just ran with the first 3 or 4 words. And so here it is. And you begin to spew out. And then now when you find out what it was, then you have to say, you know what? I mean, yeah, I'm not saying they were right, but I could have handled that a better way. And there again, salvaged that relationship. Because if it's something that happens a lot and it's something that continues, yes, we are to grace one another. Yes, we are to forgive one another and make the adjustment. Though if certain behavior seems to continue, it's only so much that you're like, I love you and everything, though this right here, this toxicity, I can't do it, because I don't do toxicity. I'm not saying that I'm all perfect, though. I am one that I'm learning to be quick to be accountable for the things that I say and do. And if someone tells me I may not like what they're saying, that, hey, when you did this, I didn't like that, though I have to own it. And that's a part of learning how to communicate. When someone expresses to you what they're feeling and what they like and don't like, being able to own your part in it, that's a part in saying, okay, I'm learning how to communicate. So now when I respond, I know how to respond in a healthy manner, because I listened to what they had to say. I thought about what I wanted to say back, if anything. And so it helps us to be clear, because you can say, okay, I didn't know that that's not what I meant when I said that. This is actually what I meant. And it says, make sure that your message is clear so that the person hears it accurately and understands what you mean. Talk about what is happening and how it affects you. Talk about what you want, need, and feel. Use I statements such as I need, I want, and I feel. Accept responsibility for your own feelings. Like you may want to say, well, I'm putting this off on you, when in actuality, that's a you thing. That's how you're feeling on the inside. So you can't transfer that rejection onto someone and believing that what they were saying to you, because you're hearing from a place of rejection, you got your guard up. And so, as soon as you see a little bit of an inkling of anything, there it is, it hits that button. And then it says, listen to the person, put aside your own thoughts for the time being, and try to understand their intentions, feelings, needs, and wants. This is called empathy, because sometimes someone may be expressing, hey, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm doing. But of course, because you don't like it, or it makes you feel some type of a way, and you get in your feelings, then we do what? We react. And so we begin to say, okay, well then, you know what? And this person is like, wait a minute, I'm just expressing to you how I'm feeling and what's going on with me. But because, yes, it may, of course, include you, and slightly affect you, you're thinking about you when I'm talking to you about me, right? And so it says share positive feelings with your partner, with that person, such as what you appreciate and admire about them and how important they are to you. Be aware of the tone of your voice. A lot of the times, I know I can talk hard. Sometimes I talk loud. And so to some people, that may take them back to, a certain place. Like me, I have to be careful of the trigger. Well, not as much anymore, but when someone would talk really hard, though, because my father, he was a pistol. He would talk hard, strong, and very, very, very stern. He was very, very, very blunt. And so sometimes when someone, used to be in the past when people would talk that way, I begin to feel some type of a way. I would begin to, here comes that defense. I start trying to think, okay, I guess I got to, get ready. Something's about to come my way that I'm not too happy about hearing, or experiencing. So I'm, on the defensive because their tone was like, I didn't like that tone that you had with me. And there again, what did it just say? Learn to listen to that person. I'm not saying that their tone may be right, but listen to them. Put yourself on the back burner for a second and say, okay, that's a little sharp right there what they're coming, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna let you have that, and then we're gonna talk about it later. Okay. And it says negotiate and remember that you don't have to be right all the time. If the issue you are having is not that important, try to let the issue go or agree to do so. Agree to disagree. My spiritual mom, Pastor Betty Nelson, she said, in a relationship, in a marriage, does your having to be right, is it that important that it's going to cause a separation between you and your partner? Do you just have to really be right, just right that time, even if what they're saying is not pleasant or all of that? Do you just have to be right and run the risk of causing some type of tension between you and that person that you really love that person? People say, well, I can't let them get away with that. What? And then there again, that's when you need to ask yourself, what is that about? But that's a topic for another day. So now there's nonverbal communication. When we communicate, we can say a lot without speaking. Our body posture, tone of voice, and the expressions on our face all convey a message. These nonverbal means of communication can tell the other person how we feel about them. If you in a funky attitude, and especially like children, when the parents, we kind of tense, we kind of stressed and things like that, and they come up to us, what do you want now? I mean, who's going to want to talk after that? You understand what I'm saying? If I go to talk to you and say, hey, babe, I just kind of want to talk to you about something. Look here, hold on for a minute. I'm busy right now. When it's okay to say you're busy, but the tone, baby, let me finish this right quick. And let me take care of this right quick, baby, and we'll talk about it later. Or to the parent, yeah, you had a stressful day. That child has nothing to do with that stressful day, prayerfully. And you can come about it at a different way by saying, baby, mama just got in. Let me kind of get in and relax. Let me sit down and breathe for a minute. And mama be with you as soon as, she kind of I just need to kind of woosah a little bit. It's the tone. Or either when you asking them something or you telling them something, they looking at you like, yeah, okay, whatever. That facial expression lets the person know what I'm saying. They're really not trying to hear me. They're patronizing me by appearing to be listening, but really, they really don't care to hear what it is that I have to say. And so it also says that if our feelings don't fit with our words, it is often the nonverbal communication that gets heard and believed. For example, saying I love you to your partner in a flat-board tone of voice gives two very different messages. Notice whether your body language reflects what you are saying. Yeah, I love you. Okay, love you too. No, it's not saying you have to be all like you just about to burst through the phone or anything, but your tone should be a little softer. It should be a little more welcoming, and then if you say I love you, and maybe you say I love you and you just, touch their shoulder, or you say I love you and you give them a nice, a nice big hug. You say I love you and maybe you kiss them on the cheek, things of that. It needs to match up what you're saying, because we can say a lot, but it's that action that shows and lets the person know, okay, well, that's what they're saying, but I don't know if I'm really feeling what they're saying. And so we're going to talk about listening and communication. Listening is a very important part of effective communication. A good listener can encourage their partner to talk openly and honestly. So when it says listening, and you can say, okay, so I think what you're saying is when I do this or when this happens, this is how it makes you feel. So you're letting them know that I hear what you're saying. Okay. You can keep comfortable eye contact. Lean towards the other person and make gestures to show interest and concern. Have an open, non-defensive, fairly relaxed posture with your arms and legs uncrossed. Face the other person. Don't sit or stand sideways. Sit or stand on the same level to avoid looking up to or down on the other person. Avoid distracting gestures such as fidgeting with the pen, glancing at papers, or tapping your feet or fingers, because it comes across as like the person, is this not a good time for you? Are you really, oh yeah, I'm listening. It doesn't really make the person feel as if you're actually trying to hear what they are trying to say. It says, be aware that physical barriers, noise, or interruptions will make good communication difficult. Mute telephones or other communication devices to ensure you are really listening. If you're trying to talk over a TV, like I said, you're watching TV, watching a show, playing a game, things like that, or, doing some other things on your laptop and all of that. When you're trying, you are hearing the person, but what person wants to talk to somebody and they're doing all of these other things? It doesn't make you feel as if you're really being heard or understood. And many times it causes you to have to keep repeating yourself. And a lot of people, after that, they're like, you know what, never mind. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Right. Because it must not be that important to you. It says, let the other person speak without interruption. Man, God is helping me with that. I was real bad about that. I've gotten a lot better. And so, of course, like I say, I own mine as much as possible. Right. Use assertive statements like, I feel about what I need is. Don't be afraid to say it. Be aware of your tone. Be prepared to take time out. If you are feeling really angry about something, it might be better to calm down before you address the issue. Ask for feedback on your listening from the other person. It's an open thing. We've got to learn to be able to do that. And so now it says some things are difficult to communicate. Again, if you just had things that happen to you in your life and it's just hard for you because you don't know how, sometimes you have to get with a transformational coach or a life coach that can help you, because they've been taught on how to practice in listening and hearing what you're saying and what you're not saying and what you're saying. And so they've learned that skill on listening. And so in them doing so, they know how to help you and encourage you to be able to communicate and express your feelings better, right? And so I'm going to share a few managing conflict points on managing conflict with communication. And so it's 8 of them that I'm going to share. And so let me go ahead and pull those up. Okay, so the 8 points to managing conflict with communication. Number 1, avoid using the silent treatment. That doesn't work because a lot of times that can backfire on you. Number 2, don't jump to conclusions Find out all the facts rather than guessing at the motives. Because someone says something a certain way, because you actually have something going on with you. And so you assumed that their motives was something that was not good for you, right? Discuss what actually happened. Don't judge. Number 4, learn to understand each other, not to defeat each other. Number 5, talk using the future and present tense, not the past. Many of us do that. We'll start talking about what's going on right now and say, well, the last time, and because of what happened to me in the past is simply that, it is the past. Now, how it affects your present and your future, that's on you. That's not on that other person, unless it was with that person and you never addressed it so that you can heal from it, right? Number 6, concentrate on the major problem and don't get distracted by other minor problems. The little bitty things, though they can build up, but if we've handled those, then they shouldn't build up to a larger thing. Though, let's talk about what is the elephant in the room. Let's get to that, right? And so it says, talk about the problems that hurt you or that person's feelings, then move on to problems about the differences in your opinion. Let's talk about what's going on with us. What we, how can we agree to disagree? What was said, what was done, and let's talk about that problem. And then we can discuss, well, this is how this is my opinion on it. And then let's hear your opinion on it. And so number 8 is use I feel statements, not you are statements. A lot of times you that's an attack mode. So when you come at a lot of people like that, then they're going to want to come back the same way to you. So what we have to do is, if we feel that we don't know how to communicate, sit down and ask the person. You're with this person. You should be able to ask them just about anything. If it's a family member, if it's, a friend, if it's someone that you're in business with, definitely if it's your spouse, this is your life partner, you should definitely be able to communicate with them. And guess what? We learned this by first learning communication with the Father. I know this is right here at the end, and we're about to close this thing up, but we can learn communication skills by first learning how to communicate with the Father. Because when we learn how to communicate with him, he's going to teach us how to communicate and what that means. And of course, because the word really, the bulk of it is about relationships. The bulk of the word of God teaches us how to respond to other people. So guess what? For us to actually want to know, besides, talking to a life coach, transformational coach, or a counselor, because there's nothing wrong with any of those things, the word of God is the main source. Because in learning how, we learn how to listen, we learn how to hear, we learn how to receive, we learn how to self-reflect. And so all of those things will teach you how to communicate using those same things that you did, when you and God having your time and you're reading the word of God. It causes you to stop and think, ponder, pause, meditate. That's why it says meditate, because it helps you to think about, okay, yeah, I said I did. Okay, no, that wasn't good. I have to change that. I need to, this is a better way to do it. And then when you begin to communicate with people, with other people around you, then you can understand, you learn his ways, his character traits, and you begin to take on those same character traits, and you begin to be able to express them to your partner. So you guys, I hope that was some informative information for you guys. As always, I am Lady Rachel here at Singles with a Testimony, where we always meet every Saturday, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, at the BPG Tea House, the holiest tea house in Houston, Texas, where you can tune in and catch us on www. The BPG Inspirational Station.com, the Ross Realist Loving Y'all for Freest internet radio station in the land, in the world, and in the globe. So again, thank you guys for allowing me into your home this beautiful Saturday. Like I said, a lot of these will be teachable moments, because right now where we are, We need to be taught so we can go and we can grow and we can reach the nations and bring those others out and point them to Christ. But only if we help them heal, but we ourselves first, we need to be healed so that we can be a part of someone else's healing. Love you guys. Peace, one love. And guess what? I'm out of here until the next time. Enjoy your beautiful Saturday.